Well, there's two answers to that, because when I was about 26, I don't know the reason why, but I joined a tennis club in North Manchester, Alkrington Tennis Club, and I played in the Oldham League. I mean, I'd never played tennis before. I wasn't particularly good at football or cricket, but I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the friendship I made with people there. I enjoyed the social life. I enjoyed playing in the league. So everything about it sort of remained with me. And when I think back, without knowing it, because life moved on, I played for about 18 months. I think I'd taken out, without knowing it, an insurance policy and stored it away in the back of my mind in an old drawer and forgotten about it, never thinking I'd be able to cash that in. And as events happened in my life, thank God I had played before, because by playing before, I think tennis really did save my life. And that's not an exaggeration. At the age of 65, I'm 5'8", and I was 26 and a half stone. And the reasons for that, I'll only deal with very briefly. It's to do with tragedy and dreadful things. But I was really went to the doctor, and he told me I was morbidly obese. And he said that meant that I could sort of drop dead at any time. And I think that acted as a catalyst to try and do something about the weight problem I had. And so I tried. I mean, I hadn't cared. It is horrible being that overweight. You're a figure of ridicule. It's postcard humor uses fat people to ridicule them. I wasn't greedy. I wasn't fat because I was greedy. I wasn't fat because I was lazy. I was fat because I hadn't dealt with a particularly tragic incident in my life in the past. And this is where tennis saved my life. I was walking the dog on the West Shore. And I'd done that for a while. I mean, I call it walking, lumbering along with the dogs. And I met a guy, and he had a beagle, and we had a beagle. So you get talking to people. And for some reason, I didn't bring it up. He mentioned that he belonged to a tennis club in Llandudno. I thought about tennis, and I thought about what a wonderful time, how I'd enjoyed tennis so much. I thought, wouldn't it be wonderful if I could ever go? I never dreamed I could go back. And so we said there's a senior session at the club. So that would be great, wouldn't it? It was seniors there. They're not judgmental. They're maybe not like first team men players or women players. So we endured the noise of Sports Direct, which Acca Disco, and went and got some rackets. And the one I got had Federer on it. Had Federer written on it, as though Federer played with it. Cost about 23 quid, you know. So I thought, oh, maybe if I get that, a touch of magic of Federer will wash off on me. It didn't, unfortunately. So we went to the seniors anyway, the both of us, and they made us so welcome. It felt fantastic being on a court again. And they were lovely with us. When you start playing, I mean, for me, I had a muscle memory that I could do forehand. And I thought, oh, great, at least I felt like I was wearing lead deep sea divers boots. My motion and ability was so bad. I might have lost weight, but I couldn't run and I couldn't move. So I was basically static when I could reach. And when I tried to serve, oh my word, I couldn't hit the ball. And I kept saying, I'm sorry. And people there said, we don't use the word sorry, and you can serve underarm. And they were so nice. There were people there from about 50 to 80, 88, 89. Some of them, most of them were average players. They played, they enjoyed it, and they went out said, I can come here and I can play badly, but it doesn't matter. And that, again, was probably the key point when I stuck it out. And obviously, as you play more and more, someone my level to play with and practice with outside of the club sessions, we just got better and better. And that's how I got back into tennis the second time. If I hadn't done that, you wouldn't be talking to me now. But in this day and age, with diabetes 2 going massively up in kids, with the pandemic and obesity being a problem where you can really catch this COVID, and it's one of the things that's most harmful because you're overweight. Doing a sport and having done a sport in the past is a catalyst, I think, to thinking I can go back when the time's right. it might be 10 years later, it might be 5. Well, I didn't lose the whole 11.5 stone playing tennis. I said I lost that kind of weight because I would have gone back.
Yeah.
And because tennis sort of maintained and made me push that, I think the final thing when I started playing tennis, I'd lost 11.5 stone. I have put some more weight back on, especially over the lockdown. But that, of course, is a target focus for me in future. So playing with the weight was, well, I played doubles mostly. And so I partnered up with a mate who's 5 years older than me, and he covered the back. And so my kind of game with a decent serve, I have a good forehand. So I was able to take part. I'm doing things I never dreamed. But first I started off static. And of course, the great thing is it's not hard work doing this exercise. It's fun. So you exercise while you're having fun, don't you? That's the great thing. You don't notice that suddenly an hour's exhausting for you. Then suddenly it's 2 hours and you're not noticing because of that fun element. And that's the best way to lose weight and maintain weight. I can honestly say there's never been a time I don't want to play tennis or find it hard. The problem is if you're talking about weight and things like that, yeah, I've bad knees. My knees are actually getting better and better instead of the reverse. I'm forgetting that the cartilage has worn down on both sides. And I get on with it. Obviously, I can't do what I'd like to do. It's a limitation, but the people of my age and above, they've all got problems in my age group. So I never don't want to play tennis. It doesn't matter if it's raining or any, and a lot of the people I know are like that. John, you know that. People once they get into it, it's like, it's the magic. It takes over, it becomes passionate. And you want to play. You play when it's a downpour. You play when it's freezing cold. I saw an 89-year-old. When I turned up at the seniors when I started cracking on, it was a terrible day. It was frosty. And I went on the corner. I think, is anyone going to turn up? Then a car pulled out. And old Brian, the bank, he was called, he came in his gardening gloves. There was a dewdrop dangling from his nose. And he'd come to play tennis in this freezing weather. And I thought, well, if that isn't inspiring, what is? I tend to, on a normal week, I would play once or twice doubles, 2 hours, and I'd also go practicing by myself because I like practicing the serve. It's not very good. I can make it better. I probably play round about between anything from 8 to 12 hours a week on average, including practice sessions, going every night, spending half an hour. In terms of the weight, the thing I think I noticed really, if I'm completely honest, because I was playing tennis, I didn't really continue after like 11.5 stone to start trying to push to get any lighter. I was playing tennis, I was enjoying it, I was moving okay. The more I played, the better my knees got. But it's funny you should ask that, because at this stage of my life, you have to have goals to move forward. And one of the biggest goals for me is that I thought, what if I can actually transform myself from the weight of a singles player, from the weight of a men's doubles team combined, to that of a singles player, which for me would be about 13.5 stone. And that's bloody hard. What would I say for a new generation? Well, I think tennis is a family. And I think if you ever heard Alex Ferguson when United were Manchester United, when they had Beckham and they had Scholes and when it was at its best, he saw the tennis club as a family. And he said that the millionaire young players should treat with respect the cleaners, the caterers, and that's how he saw it. And he put forward a whole set of values that were basically working class values: honesty, punctuality, very hard work ethos. I think if you can inspire all those qualities on children on a tennis court, then not only are you going to get the fun of socialising, mixing with people of different ages and feeling part of the tennis family, then if things happen in life, then what they've learned on the tennis court will give them resilience, it will give them confidence, it will give them an empathy with people who are not as good as they are. And all those things are useful. And most of all, it will show in this day and age with technology what it is, that the real thing is that the effort you put in is a reward you get out. and there's pleasure in making an effort. So tennis skills, sports skills young, well, they're going to pay off whether you continue to an elite level or if it's just social, or you give it a gap and you go back. And the thing is, in terms of my age, and I have to get this in now, parents bring kids to a tennis club. You don't want them sitting out watching the kids play. You need to focus on trying to get the parents to join in so they can enjoy that sport with the children as they get older. And then you will have a generation of older people like me, but it will be those parents as it goes along. And that's the future of tennis, really. But you're not going to get many 75-year-olds who can't walk, go and join a tennis club. But you need to build that age group up. And nowadays, you don't have to live in a leafy suburb where there's a nice tennis club. You can live in poorer areas where tennis is available to you. So the future of tennis, for me, it's like you have to think of it as a family of all ages, all abilities, all mixing together.